All right, everybody, welcome to the Point Five Show, the overflow show slash bonus show of the Pennymon Doctrine podcast. Sorry for the people watching live; you are a few minutes late. For the people that
That's
are
my
listening on the
fault.
podcast, it's all right, Ricky. We will
Kill you later.
yes, something like that.
Don't judge
But
me. My commute sucks. I mean, it is what it is.
that is true. I know horrible commutes. That's why I'm not working right now. Part of the reason. But for those who do not know, Ricky, is this the first time we've had you on the Point Five show? But I'm pretty sure we've had you on before.
Yeah.
This will be
No,
the third time
I've
you've
been
been on
on
the show.
before. Third time. Been on
Third
the
This
show.
is
time.
the
I figured
third
as much.
time, including the roundtable.
Okay, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
So for those who are new to the show, Ricky is a friend and friend of the show, and he is the co-host of one of three shows that he is a part of. We'll get into that in a second, but yeah, we just we're very thankful to have Ricky on today. Thought we had some guests coming through, but they fell through, and Ricky was nice to oblige and come on. So for the first segment here that we have live on YouTube and Google Plus, we'll be getting to know Ricky a little bit better, especially for the people that are tuning in live, because this is the first time he's been on the new year since we're starting to do the Google stuff, the YouTube Google stuff. So Ricky, let everybody know who you are and where we can find you on all the different shows that you do.
Holy shit, that's a lot of. Well, again, my name is Ricky L. Hinds II. I am the founder of the Americans United Again movement. You can find information about that at auamovement.org. You can find us on Twitter, or me on Twitter more specifically, under AUA.DOT.org. We're also on Facebook, AUA or Facebook.com/AUA Movement, and I host three podcasts. The first of which is the flagship show for the Americans United Again movement, and that's the AUA podcast. That's our news and kind of socio-political show. We also have another show that I co-host, and I co-host both of these with my girlfriend Sherelle. It's the AUA Hope podcast, which is our positive news and uplifting podcast. A lot of social justice work and a lot of socio-political work is fucking taxing, to be quite honest. So there definitely has to be some sort of positivity and hope, and so that's what that podcast is for. And lastly, I also host the Ferguson Response Network, or excuse me, co-host the Ferguson Response Network podcast with Leslie Mack of the Interracial John podcast. I know she's been on the show with Drew a couple times too. I am busy as shit. I also do hair, do taxes, and
Wait, you do hair, or are you?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Nah,
I was about
son.
to say, I know you do
I
taxes,
babysit, I do hair, and I run the social justice movement. Say something.
all in the same living room, huh?
At the same time.
At the same damn time. Well, I mean, you are a busy man, and for those who are in the podcast movement or are looking to get into the podcast movement, listening to your shows on top of many others is a good place to go, because I mean, you tell it like it is, man, and we definitely enjoy your programs, and
Thank you.
and you were saying that that the Hope show was, the more uplifting show. Is that opposed to your other show being depressing and boring? Like what's up?
Not necessarily depressing and boring, but we tackle a lot of hard topics, and we tackle them in succession. I don't really. I like to bring some good news to the AUA podcast, as a way of kind of balancing it out, because we cover really heavy shit, and I'm not gonna lie, that shit gets depressing. So it's not easy to always do.
Agreed. And as far as the Ferguson Response Network show goes, what what can you tell us about that? Like the ins and outs of that show?
It's a show basically dedicated to specifically to the Black Lives Matter movement and the battle against white supremacy, which is essentially what the Black Lives Matter movement is. We tackle a lot of different subjects like self-care, which is really important to the movement because of the amount of time that this is going to take. This is going to be something that's generations in the making. We're going to have to train our children and our grandchildren to take on this fight because we've had a country based on white supremacy since before
1775, I would gather.
Yeah, pretty much. Shut up, P.
1492. Christopher Columbus made the ocean blue.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it goes back a while.
No, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back. Realistically, it goes back to about the 1600s, and I mean that's, it's basically it's a congenital disease. We're born with racism in our blood. That I always say that, shut up, P. Sorry, dog. Also, the AUA mascot. But the white in our red, white, and blue is white supremacy. There's no getting around that.
I see. Yeah, and I've had the privilege of being on the program one time. I definitely enjoyed myself. I was asking you like I was ignorant to the show, but I've been on there.
Yeah.
And
and by the way, you're welcome back on anytime.
You just
let me know. We meant to tell you that, so.
Well, I mean,
really?
Molly, don't make that face. I know it was a surprise, right? It was crazy.
He is nothing better than overstaying kids' welcome.
I don't overstay my welcome. Yeah. So whatever. But for a little bit of the time that we have in our first part of our segment, my dude, I tried to talk about the Super Bowl outcome on my program, and it didn't really go the way that I wanted to because I was talking to myself because somebody decided not to watch not the damn game, not the ads, nothing. Not a motherfucking thing. She ain't watch shit.
Was you working?
No.
I was knitting.
I mean, you couldn't have done both? Hey, come on, son. You couldn't have done both, Molly.
I listened to the game.
It is definitely not the same. So when it came to trying to talk about the reasoning and the background of why the end of the Super Bowl was so important, I kind of felt like I was, talking to myself. So, I mean, even though you agree, it's a little better to bounce kind of ideas off of someone else. So, I mean, we already agree on like the basics of the ending of the game, but
it was a horrible fucking call.
It was a horrible call. No, I was going to say, what
arguably
are
the
your
worst
exact
call.
thoughts?
What was that?
I was going to say, what are your exact thoughts on the last call of the game?
I'm not one for conspiracy theories normally, but looking back at the last 3 play calls, I can't help, and really the last drive in general, like I can't help but wonder if they threw that game. The pass to Curse. Bad play. They got incredibly lucky. Then, on 1st and 5 on the goal, where you probably should pass, you have arguably the best running back in the league, but he's also not going to get you 5 yards on a carry on the goal line. Like, it's kind of unrealistic. He got you 4.5, but there's no way he was getting you 5. And then to go right and follow that with a pass on the half-yard line, a pass that you don't even have the real estate to make, and that's why that interception was made, is because there wasn't enough real estate to even make that play. He had Russell Wilson had a 2.5 step drop, and he was supposed to make a quick check to make sure that the receiver was going to be in the area and get the ball off. That's it. That was his only job, and he did exactly what he was supposed to do. The problem is, so did the defense. Good defense beats a good offense any day of the week, and that showed why. Run the play that everybody expects, because there's a reason everybody expects it.
Right.
It needs to happen. Like there's no excuse. If you end up if you lose a yard or two on the run, okay, fine. Now you're on a third down play where yes, you have to pass, but you have more real estate in which to do so. So you can get the ball just in front of the goal line without a defensive back closing in that quickly.
Or you can throw it in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, they usually look for the back of the end zone, especially in situations like that. And they could have went back to fuck was his name, the big guy. What was it, their fourth string receiver?
Oh, Matthews.
Yeah, they could have. Yeah, Chris Matthews. They could have went back to him, but that would have been telegraphed, and they would have had him in double coverage anyway because he's a matchup problem.
Telegraphed too.
Well,
like if you watch the play, because Molly didn't see the play, she didn't watch it.
Yes, I did.
Okay,
we watched it again.
That's where I was going.
Oh.
So Molly didn't watch the game. She didn't see the play until I showed it to her, right? And when you slow the play down, that ball was getting intercepted. The only thing that was going to happen was Lockett was going to drop it.
Pop, lock, and drop?
Hey, no, okay, all right, no. I'm not going to humor Molly. Okay, I'm going to humor Molly. It's fun to humor Molly sometimes.
It is fun. Hey, in all fairness, can we not say that when you showed me that play, what's the first thing that I thought of?
That they threw the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got
it's kind of hard not to think that.
And that's what I was saying. When you look at that play in slow motion, as soon as he got the ball, Russell Wilson was looking straight at Lockett the whole time.
He didn't have any choice.
And no offense against anyone with any physical or mental deformities or ailments or anything like that, but anyone could have picked that ball off, especially with telegraph. Like, ooh, Lockett, I'm gonna throw it to you. Butler, I gotta make a play. Because Butler was the dude that had curse happen to him.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for him doing that play right there, he would have went down as the guy who was covering Javon Curse, when Javon Curse got that lucky ball. So my thing about
it's not even that. That was amazing defense that he played. You can't play a ball any better than that. So again, it's not like the guy's a slouch. You put the ball exactly where anyone in his position, any person who's good enough to be on a Super Bowl caliber team, is going to recognize, holy shit, this is a pass, and the only place it can possibly go with him on such a short drop is right there.
Now here's the key to all this, and then we can kind of discuss this part and move on. Is that if I posted a video, did you watch the video that I posted that you commented on my personal page?
Ricky.
Ready?
Was it the Madden one?
Oh, there you are.
No. The one that I posted that me and you were talking on for like a couple comment threads recently. It was the one. It was the video that showed it said that it showed the reaction of Marshawn Lynch after the game, but basically it was all the people that were mic'd up. They showed all the little different parts near the end of the game, that last drive.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So as soon as Javon Curse made that catch, the offensive coordinator said, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run the ball first down, and then you're going to pass it second. This is before Marshawn touched the ball at all. This is before.
That's even, no.
They designed the pass play on second down the whole time.
Yeah.
Now, Here's my thing about this again, though. Again, and this is the question that we posed on the show. If you have the ability as a business to, and the example that I used was, if as a business, you have the ability to get the biggest client you've ever had in your company's history, right? And you can either have your Marshawn Lynch type, who's your best salesman. He's a little rough around the edges. Personality doesn't really clash with the client that you're trying to get. Or you can get your golden boy to come in, right? He cries. He talks about Jesus. He says all the right things. He's got a PSA about bullying. Well, what wouldn't you like about him? And then he's about to be the richest quarterback
he's a pretty good guy.
History. Right.
Yeah, he's a pretty good guy, especially for a third-year quarterback.
Right.
He's damn good.
Who would you want to be the face of the media for the next six months or so? I mean, it only makes sense in a business sense.
But the other thing too is that it's also a pride call, because if you after that catch, if you make the decision to run on first and then pass on second, you can possibly get away with maybe expecting like a 2-3 yard gain from Marshawn Lynch, and then that gives you just enough time to make that pass. That gives you just enough real estate to make it, and just enough time where the DB has to play back far enough to guard the back in the end zone, and will just miss him.
But he didn't do that.
He got 4.5 yards. He got 4.5 fucking yards. Change the fucking play.
Oh man. And
like you can't stick to your guns all the time. Sometimes things are situational.
And the thing about it is I don't want to discount New England. I'm not trying to throw shade at New England. I'm not trying to make this a big deal because I'm trying to take something away from New England. What I'm saying is that the NFL is going to the NFL and the franchises and their owners are going to continuously make flub-ups. And I am a very strong advocate of paying attention to the politics of sports. And you have to not only pay attention to the politics of sports, you need to pay attention to the business of sports, you need to pay attention to the racialization of sports as well. And this had all three of those facets all in there wrapped into one. If you didn't tell me that Paul Allen, if you mean to tell me that Paul Allen has no problems with Marshawn Lynch being as standoffish with the media as he is, you're wrong. If you're telling me that Pete Carroll doesn't like that Marshawn Lynch is standoffish with the media, you're wrong. If you're telling me that both of those guys don't have a problem with Richard Sherman being articulate as he is with the media, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
But
okay, let's like generally speaking, I think that would normally be the case. The only thing that I take issue with is that, like with Paul Allen is a noted philanthropist, and I don't know that he has as much of a problem, say, as maybe a Robert Kraft would have with those characters and them being the way that they are. I still think that from a business sense, it's problematic for him, and there's no question about that. But the other thing is that you don't control a game that way, and there's no one who, because the reality is, had Marshawn Lynch just gotten away from that last tackle, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, and it's simply by chance. Yeah, right. There would be no conversation. It was, he's good enough to get you 5 yards on a 1st and 5 on the goal line.
But
he's
the
probably
thing about
one
it
of
is
the only backs good enough to. Right.
It was designed for it to be a second down pass. They designed it that way, and people that didn't watch the game, people that don't watch sports, people that don't. There's blogs that don't even. The only thing that they've mentioned about sports the whole year is, oh shit, why would you not give Marshawn Lynch the ball? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Are you upset that
it flies in the face of logic? Because I think that it has to do with it.
What's he going to say to Roger Goodell or what?
Yeah, and I think that in all honesty, it had more to do with personalities. It had a lot more to do with personalities than maybe we want to give credit to, because if you think about it, as an offensive coordinator, you decide, you make this decision based on, Marshawn getting maybe either getting stopped at the line, a short loss, 2-3 yard gain, and then you have the real estate to pass it. Oh shit, he gets more than you anticipate. Should I change up my game plan? Nah, I ain't gonna change up my game plan. My game plan works.
Right.
Yeah, like 5 feet back, your game plan works. Your game plan, you'd be Super Bowl champions. But this is geometry. This is physics. This is spatial. This is spatial awareness. And one has to wonder.
Beast mode. His name is Beast Mode.
Yeah, and I mean, one has to honestly wonder how the arrogance that it takes to make that to stick with that call. Not necessarily to make the call, because you don't know what he's going to get on that when they made the decision. But to stick with it is just that something's wrong there.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
it is.
I think that's where I take the biggest issue.
Well, my thing about it is I want to pay attention to where Marshawn is going to end up next, how the contract negotiations are going to go, and hopefully, I hope that some of the locker room kind of antics that happened beforehand with Percy Harvin and things like that back in October come out to light, because I really want to know some more context of the situation, what's been going on in that locker room, besides the fact that out of context, Percy was quoted saying Russell wasn't black enough. I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. But moving on, man. What political story, topic, and stuff like that, or any news, current event, anything that you got going on? What's something that's really grinding your gears, or something you want to bring up or talk about,
man? Actually, it was something I intended on talking about on the Ferguson Response Network podcast last night, but I didn't get a chance. I really didn't get around to it, simply because we had a lot of great guests, and I wanted to get to the main discussion. There was a post in, if my memory serves me correctly, it was I think the Huffington Post. Let me see if I can pull it back up here, where they were talking about whether or not, or they were talking about the upcoming elections in Ferguson, and the general attitude from people was like, oh well, they better show us that they mean business. But the reality is they already showed that they mean business. They don't have the resources really needed to mobilize any kind of true get out the vote effort. That shit takes money. It takes a lot of money to be able to do that, and it takes a lot of organization. That for a city and a county as a whole, that 8 months ago, no one even thought about. These people weren't even worried about. These people became activists out of necessity. And so they're in the process of building up something that is going to be geared toward the long term. And so no, I don't think that it's fair to make this to really bring it up, to bring up that Ferguson voters, like how they have this historic chance to overhaul town government. Like, you're talking about an area. There's a reason that Ferguson became Ferguson in the first place, and not everyone in that area has woken up. There's a massive amount of apathy, and it's natural. You've had people beaten up and downtrodden for years on end. When you think about the statistics, that you have 3 summonses for every household,
and that's a black suburb for people. Right. People need to keep in mind that's not the hood. Ferguson actually has a very low crime rate for the surrounding area.
Exactly, and so when you think, most of those people are fucking downtrodden, and they've given up hope. Their hope is just to survive, and so it's going to take a while for the few people who started this movement and are mobilizing to really get the resources to do what we're expecting them to do. I think we have to have some sort of realistic expectations for this shit. Like, maybe the elections in 2 years you can look at because they've had time, but shit, it wouldn't even have been an entire year by the time they go to the polls. Really? We're expecting a revolutionary change. It's not going to come that easy.
I think that people want there to be a systemic change via the ballot. So on one hand, people can say, look, voting matters. Or people like me, people progressives for the most part, especially in a situation like that, they can be like, voting matters. But then my thing about it is when it doesn't work, because I don't think it will, the other side is going to go, see, they just, are just complaining. They're not going to do anything about it. And so you bringing the story up is setting them up for disaster because it's putting them in a position, in my view, that they're not 100% ready for. I mean, they're still, to this day, dealing with police brutality, heavy-handedness and excessive force.
And being spied on by the police. Like, we have to set some kind of realistic expectations for things. Like this whole, I expect this shit to be done next week, and then when it's not done tomorrow, all of a sudden we're upset. See, I told you so. There is no see, I told you so. This shit's gonna take time. The list of, like we talked about on the episode of the Ferguson Response Network podcast that you're on. People are going to keep dying. People are going to keep getting killed by police. It's not going to fucking stop. This isn't an overnight thing, and I know it's tiring, but we still have to keep doing what we have to do. So yeah, an election, we may fuck up an election. We may, or not even fuck up, but we may not have the resources to change this election. But at some point, we need to be building to change elections because voting does work. Voting does help, but it has to be a part of a larger thing. It can't just be voting. It can't just be protesting. Everybody has a role to play. Everybody has to stay in their lane and support each other.
I would think that wouldn't there be some issues with just thinking that going out and voting would change everything when, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of fear involved that, standing up for what you believe in at this point is still going to get you killed. Like,
yeah, absolutely. You can't vote when you're dead. It's really hard to vote when you're dead.
And the Black Panther group will be out there with their
Black Panther
AK-47.
With my Black Panther guard.
Yeah.
I got my AK-47, my beret, boots, everything. It's an inside joke that me and Molly have. You remember that article a while back that was saying that
that was like last fall, 2013.
The Black Panthers were intimidating people, or like intimidating voters, I believe, in like Virginia, and that came out to be like a fake story or whatever, but they were just using it to stoke up fear. We were eating breakfast, and I was like, I was reading the article, and the way they made it seem was like, every black person that is going to the polls is kind of like a Black Panther, and I'm like, well, what do they think of all of us?
Yeah, I think I remember this. Yeah.
But hold on, let me go to the closet. Let me get my Black Panther on real quick.
but you know what's so funny? What they fail to realize is that when they be like, oh, well, the Black Panthers, what fucking Black Panthers? You killed or imprisoned them all. That's why we have a new Black Panther party, because the other one you killed off. I mean, it's kind of
the new one is not very organized within itself. So the fact, and when you bring that up, that brings up something, that's a good topic to get on for a few minutes, is that black kids, I don't think this day and age understand to know what the Black Panthers were. I was listening to Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman, and she had this guy on who is in the process of making a Black Panther documentary. As soon as that shit becomes available, I am going to not only try to, I'm going to watch it, of course, but I definitely want that dude on the show so people can understand what the Black Panthers were. You know what the Black Panthers were? The Black Panthers were the people that were like, I understand what you're saying, Martin. I get you. And Malcolm, I feel what you're talking about too. Like, let's put them both together, and I get to carry a rifle? What? I get to actually protect my neighborhood from the police?
Let's be real. In a social sense, in an American sense, they were a militia. They were the reason for that the Second Amendment was created. And the second that they decided that they were going to march to Sacramento and stand in the state capitol with guns peacefully as shit, that's when then Governor Ronald Reagan decided, oh, no one needs to have a rifle. Oh, really? Really? The Negroes show up and no one needs a rifle.
Right.
And everyone was okay with it. That's the history behind California's gun laws. Our policy, the reality is that policy across this country has always revolved around race, and it will continue until we dismantle this practice of white supremacy. And I like to be really clear when I say white supremacy, what I mean by white supremacy, and I mean the fact that white lives, particularly white, rich male lives, are valued more than other people in society. It's no secret. How many presidents have been white? To some degree, every single one of them.
I think there was like, let me see, 1, 2, all the motherfuckers, except
all of them
for
at least. Even he's half white. Like, I mean, granted, by the old rule that, what is it, the God,
like the
blood drop rule, one drop rule. There we go.
One drop or the eighth. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, how many presidents had white mothers? Every single one. All of them.
Every single one.
Without exception. Mm-hmm. We've valued rich white men in this country more than we valued women, black people, the LGBTQ community. We've basically set up a hierarchy, and until that hierarchy is dismantled and people are allowed the same privileges that rich white males are allowed, because no one wants to take, I don't think they understand that. Like, no one wants to take the shit that you have away from you. Keep it. Right. We wanted to. We wanted to. You know, I'd love to be able to walk outside and not feel slightly guilty and I ain't did shit. You know, and have to carry around that guilty feeling, because I have to understand that although I'm not guilty of a damn thing, people suspect me of being guilty. And it's a reality. And the second that I forget that, I'm putting my life at risk. That's it. And there's no plainer way to put that.
Hey, what you're saying is great, but you sound like you swallowed a robot.
Do I?
Oh, well, you sound better now.
Yeah, you sound better now. But what I was going to say is can you repeat your last finishing thought, and then we're going to sign off for the YouTube folks.
Sure. Well, basically, it was just that. Wait, where did it
something that
drop out?
You have to remember that when you step outside.
Yeah. Basically, I have to remember that when I step outside, I have to think in a way that makes me guilty. That I have to feel guilty, because it's not that I'm guilty of anything, of actually doing anything, but it's because I have to walk around and acknowledge the fact that other people see me as guilty based solely on the color of my skin. And the second that I choose not to, I'm putting my life at risk. It's like not wearing a seatbelt. Respectability politics is like not wearing a seatbelt. while being in a car, it's like, well, you know, you should have had your seatbelt on. Well, you were doing 140. The motherfucker wasn't going to protect me anyway. You know, like, I get it if we were in a 35-mile-an-hour car crash. Yeah, me having a seatbelt on might protect me, but usually, it's like speeding every time.
It's like Paul Walker in that Ferrari or the Porsche.
Yeah, like I forgot who made this joke, but they were talking about it's an old joke from like the 90s. They were talking about how black people specifically, but he's talking about black men, don't do a damn thing dangerous because being black is dangerous enough.
Yeah, you know what? For example, and then I know we'll sign off here. I was on the train yesterday morning or the morning before, and I got on, and the first guy standing on the train, because it was packed. It's been really cold here, so the trains are all slowed down. But when I got on,
what's that?
Oh, shut up.
You know what, Ricky? You and your LA, Cali life.
Sunny California.
Yeah, anyway. But the first guy on the train was a white guy, like middle-aged, and then to my right and all behind him were like all black people. And his book bag, the white guy's book bag is just hanging open. Like, he's got a mug in there, some books, I don't know, other stuff. But like, I look at his bag and like I look up at him and I look all around him and I was like, "Sir, do you know that your book bag is wide open?" And he looked at me and he's like, I didn't know. And I'm like, and he had his hands full and I was like, "Would you like help closing it?" And he was like, yeah. And he's like, I helped him zip it up and he's like, I wonder why no one else said anything. And I thought to myself, if anyone would have said to you, "Sir, your book bag is open," because, everyone else around was black, I'm sure that they would have thought, or he would have thought, like, one of them has opened my bag. You know what I mean? But, like, it was a situation, like, there was no way anyone could have opened his bag. Like, he walked with his bag open. And I had done the same thing that morning myself after I was, like, digging through trying to get the car unshoveled. And, like, the guy behind me, like, I turned around and looked at him, and he just looked at me like, yeah, I wasn't going to say a word. And that's so sad. I mean, but I don't blame him.
Yeah, and the thing is that even if he wouldn't have done that, it happens so often and it's such a realistic risk for us that I'm not going to do it anyway just to be safe.
Yeah.
Why would I help? Because me helping this dude could very easily backfire on me and I'm sitting in jail.
Exactly.
So
that's why I looked at everyone and like took it in and I was like, I get the situation going on here, but and like he looked and he was like so grateful and I thought to myself, like, I am actually like the prime perfect person that I could have got away with murder right then. Like, just stand next to you and just taking everything out of your bag.
Especially if you had a badge on.
Take everything out of my bag, put it in my bag, be like, "Sir, you have a nice day." He would have thought nothing of it.
Got me a new mug.
We're gonna.
And I need a new mug.
World's #1 dad. Hell yeah.
Molly's world's #1's dad now.
You're a respected mother. What do you mean, #1 dad?
Yeah, #1 grandpa actually.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
but I want to get more into privilege and white supremacy and things like that because, man, even to this day, I still have conversations with people that are like, well, I grew up poor. Okay, if you're talking about money, we can't even talk about the financial aspects of white supremacy and privilege if you can't even get past the initial definition of the shit in the first place.
Yeah, and you were just unlucky.
Right, exactly.
You were slightly unlucky.
Before we get into that, I want to bid the YouTubers adieu. You can check out the rest of the show. We're going to post it tomorrow. For the one viewer that we do have, I think I know who that is. Hi, Karen Rob. How are you? Team Turns were great. I meant to say on air that Karen and Rob sent us a awesome care package that included a vegetarian recipe book, 3 bags of cheese curds that have stopped me up a couple of times.
No one cares.
But that's what they do because it's cheese. It's like cheese Kurt
Yeah, son.
cheese and then you eat all the cheese. Sometimes you can't shit as much as you
Thank
would.
you.
Okay. So what else? Oh, we got some clothes for the expecting mother. What else did you get?
And a gift card.
Gift card. And so we definitely appreciate that. Let's see, we got one viewer, and I'm pretty sure that's them. But
if it's you, tell me it's you.
They have to do the chat thing.
That sounds so
I don't
creepy.
think I have that open.
Molly, that sounds creepy as fuck.
I know, it was supposed to.
We have a Q&A
If it's
thing.
you, tell us it's you.
Tell me that you see
it's weird. But yeah, the rest of the show is going to continue on the podcast, which we're going to post tomorrow. But for the YouTubers, it's been real, and share it if you could. Post it. Let everybody know that me and Ricky are talking about sports and white privilege and white supremacy, all that good stuff like that. So until tomorrow,
that's my life. Sports and white privilege. Fuck.
You know what? I agree with you, my dude. We'll get into more on that in a second. But for everybody else, it's been real. See you Monday.